So why does the music of the 1990s still feel so, I don't know, important? I mean, it wasn't just a bunch of songs, right? It was literally the soundtrack to a generation's identity. And today, we're going to unpack exactly why.
This quote, wow, it just perfectly captures that deep, almost cellular connection so many of us feel to the 90s. But here's the thing, to really get the music, you first have to understand the world it was pushing back against.
All right, let's talk about setting the stage for Gen X. This was a generation shaped by some really heavy stuff. We're talking empty houses after school, the constant looming threat of the AIDS epidemic, and just the economic anxiety of their parents. It was a pretty unique set of pressures, and it created a very specific way of looking at the world.
Yeah, a lot of kids from this generation, we're talking born roughly between 65 and 80, they were known as latchkey kids. It meant coming home to an empty house. And, growing up like that gives you a different kind of childhood. It's one defined by this fierce independence, an independence that would later just scream through the defiant sound of their music.
And look, it really wasn't just one thing. It was like this perfect storm, the combined weight of a shaky economy, the devastation of the crack and AIDS epidemics, and this really deep-seated political cynicism. All of it together created this profound sense of just feeling untethered.
So, what happens when a generation feels like that? Well, it leads to the popular slacker stereotype. You've seen it in movies like Clerks and Reality Bites, right? But here's the key. It wasn't just laziness, it was a defense mechanism. It was a symptom of feeling so adrift and so overlooked that just checking out seemed like the only sane thing to do. And Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins just put it perfectly. He said he was speaking this language that was part Gilligan's Island and part what the F happened to my life. It was this chaotic mix of pop culture noise and real, genuine personal confusion, and that feeling, it desperately needed a voice.
And that's where the music comes in. For a generation that felt pretty much invisible, music became the way they made themselves heard. It was how they made themselves seen and finally understood.
Okay, and you can see the shift so clearly right here. I mean, the whole excessive, escapist party of 80s hair metal, it was over. Done. In its place, you get grunge and alternative rock, which were basically built on rejecting all that phoniness. The whole conversation turned inward, and man, it got a lot more serious.
I mean, just look at these themes. Social alienation, despair, broken homes, addiction. For the first time, mainstream rock stars weren't singing about fast cars and endless parties. They were singing about the stuff people were actually feeling. And that level of raw honesty, it was absolutely revolutionary.
But here's the thing. Grunge wasn't the only revolution going on, not by a long shot. At the exact same time, in a completely different corner of the musical universe, another powerful form of storytelling was just exploding into its own golden age.
This timeline is just staggering to look at. Seriously, in just a few short years, you get the G-Funk of Dr. Dre, the insane complexity of the Wu-Tang Clan, the pure lyrical genius of Nas, and the cinematic storytelling of Biggie. These weren't just albums. These were landmark moments that didn't just define a genre. They cemented hip-hop as a dominant cultural force, period.
But it wasn't all angst and social commentary. While grunge and hip-hop were tackling these super heavy themes, there was totally another side to the 90s sound. In places like New York and Miami, you had freestyle music, and that was just pure sentimental escape. It was all about dance beats, love, and heartbreak.
Okay, so this era obviously didn't just stop on New Year's Eve 1999. Its influence is still rippling through our culture, and maybe especially through our music, even today.
You can draw a direct, straight line from the emotional honesty of 90s alternative rock straight to the rise of emo rap today. It's the same idea, right? That raw, confessional, almost diary entry style of lyrics, just now it's laid over modern trap beats.
The parallels are just undeniable. The themes that defined grunge, we're talking mental illness, heartbreak, isolation, depression, these are the very same topics you'll find at the heart of emo rap. It's just proof that these feelings and the need to get them out are totally timeless.
So why? Why does this music still have such a powerful grip on so many of us? Well, it's not just about the songs themselves. It has everything to do with a unique, shared moment in time.
I mean, think about it for a second. Before social media algorithms put us all in our own little personal bubbles, culture was way more collective. We were all listening to the same hits on the radio. We were all watching the same videos on MTV. It was like we were all tuned into the same frequency.
So what happens when that bubble bursts? Well, that shared experience created this incredibly potent form of nostalgia. It's not just about missing the past. It's about missing a time when it felt like we were all listening to and living the same story. Together.
The music of the 90s was a direct, powerful, and super authentic reaction to the world it was born into. And that leaves us with one last crucial question to think about. If music is a generation's response to the world, what is our soundtrack saying about us right now?